Greetings, my friends. I wanted to tell you about a tournament game I recently had against Astra Militarum. I know this video should have come out in December, but here it is now. And this was against probably the most insane Militarum list I've ever played. This was my list that I took to the recent GT, and I did a video breaking that down. I'll link it up above if you haven't seen it. So this was a loss, 93 against 80, and at this point I was on a 3-0 winning streak. And it was kind of a tough list, or kind of a tough pill to swallow, this loss, but swallow it we must. And here is what the list looked like. Now look at this craziness. So Ursula Creed and Iron Hand Strachan. We then had like a command squad commissioner, a bunch of Death Corps marshals, a platoon commander, another platoon commander. Then we have like 20 Kachkan fighters, another 20, another 20, another 20, 20 Death Corps of Krieg, another 20, another 20, another 20. So at this point, that's 160 plus all the characters, which there were, I guess that's like basically 20, so like 180. Then a 20-man infantry squad, another 20, another 20, another 20. So that's like 260, and then two 5-man squads of science. So it was like 270 guardsmen. And my god, I mean, my list is not prepared to deal with 270 guys. I'll tell you that right now. The aggressors, 100% MVP in this game. They must have killed probably like 150 guardsmen, just the 6-man aggressors. They just did massive damage every turn, because against all these 20, every aggressor is getting +4 shots from blast. So D6 plus 24 just from their blast weaponry, and obviously I'm putting them in Devastator Doctrine, I'm using Fire Discipline, so I'm bursting 5s and 6s. It's absolutely disgusting. And yes, I was basically able to kill two 20-man squads per turn with just the aggressors. The rest of the army, not so much. But this game was insanity. Okay, let's move on. So this is how we lined up. You didn't even have everything on the table at this point, actually. I was going to say, I think this is like 20, 40, 60, 80, 120. I think there was the 3 infantry squads here. So he maybe had like 240. I think there was maybe like 2 squads. The Scions were definitely in deep strike. Maybe there was one other squad. So this is how we lined up. And here's the problem with these infantry squads. Each squad has 2 las cannons. The only way I can kill these las cannons is if I chew through like 18 other infantry. Well, what the hell have I got that can chew through 18 infantry at range? Nothing. So those las cannons were going to be a huge problem for me. My tactic here, if possible, was to try and get any unit I could in melee. My tanks in melee, anything in melee, because you've got no way to fall back and shoot. And that was where we were going for, and that's what we were hoping might happen. Okay, so in turn 1, and I want to tell you my secondaries here, I decided to pick fixed. I was going to do cleanse and deploy teleport homers. So my plan was to hopefully cleanse these 2 on my side of the board and deploy homers either somewhere near the middle or in his deployment zone. Getting into his deployment zone was going to be really difficult, but there was some space here. I do have Inceptors, so I am going to be able to do that a couple of times. But also, holding primary here is going to be a nightmare, because every single guardsman is basically OC2. He can give them orders, I believe, to become OC3, and I believe the Death Corp guys can even become OC4. Those Death Corp guys get a 3-up saving cover, which is ridiculous because they can stat cover, and they get a 5-up feel no pain. And get this, if you kill all 20, he can pay 2 CP to bring the whole squad back alive next turn, and he can roll his, on a 5-up, I'll get my CP back against that. So every single time he did that, it cost him 1 CP. And basically, so 4 times throughout the game, he brought 20 back. See how many guys he's got left at the end of the game? And remember, he brought 80 guys back. So let's see how he got on. So turn 1, my thought was, get the Death Company into cover here. Try and stay out of line of sight of these las cannons, which I did. And I was going to try and get into combat with as many guys as I can. My Death Company are all Infernal Pistols and Power Fists. Unfortunately, that wouldn't be the best option here. The best option here would have probably been hand flamers. But who the hell is putting hand flamers on the Death Company? I was a little bit scared with my tanks in that there's going to be 6 las cannons I cannot even shoot back at, essentially. So if my tanks are sitting out in the open for too long, my dreadnoughts, they're going to get eaten up alive. The ace in the hole is my squad of aggressors here. I'm going to be teleporting these guys around, and I am going to be killing and killing and killing, but it's not going to score me enough points. So, in turn 2, I basically teleported my aggressors here. You can see a huge swath of dead guardsmen here. How many squads were there a minute ago? There was like 220 mans and another 20. So, like, a Vindicator tank, the Inceptors, and the aggressors came up here and basically deleted. I think there was a command squad in there as well. So they deleted, the 3 squads of them together deleted like 65 guardsmen or something like that. Look at the middle of the board. How many guys were here? That was like 40 guys. I think there was probably 40 or maybe, yeah, probably another 40 there. So basically the Death Company, a couple of Eradicators, the Vindicator tank, the Ballistic Dreadnought, we killed like another 40 in here as well. So we did actually kill like 105 guardsmen already. I left a squad of Eradicators down in this corner to just try and slow him down, because I assumed he was going to do a move like this and try and pile a shed load of guys onto my home field objective, which he did. And I also assumed he was going to try and like come in this back corner as well, and do sort of similar shenanigans, which he did. So fortunately my tank fitted in here. So that means it could shoot out, right? I had my heavy intercessors in here as well, and basically the heavy intercessors sat in cover, touching this objective, and they cleansed that objective for the entire game. So maybe I could have come out with the tank a little bit earlier. I wanted to come out with the tank as soon as I thought I'd got rid of a few more las cannons. So this was turn 2. So we actually had like a really successful turn, and he actually didn't kill that much of mine, right? Very, very little losses here. I'm trying to think what he killed in turn 1. I think he killed my 1 squad of intercessors. I pushed a squad of intercessors up behind this, and the idea that they were going to be my teleport Homer objective. Guys, they got shot to... there was a bunch of windows on the lower floor here I had to contend with, so they did get shot, they did get killed. Basically, my Eradicators are now going to be going over there to do homers or cleansing, that sort of thing. The Death Company here, we're going to get absolutely waxed by all these las cannons and support guns, but my hope was to keep 1 or 2 alive. I only need like 2, so I could tag both these other squads of las cannons, because once they're in combat they can't fall back and shoot. That was my hope. I figured he wasn't going to charge the Death Company. I believe he actually tried that in the previous turn, and I think he killed 1 model, because this is a 5-man Death Company with a chaplain, and I basically mulched like a huge number of guardsmen, so he wasn't going to do that. Well, that wasn't going to happen again. And I put Oath of Moment on, I think, the big squad that was here, and I believe he was really lucky in that I think there was 1 guy alive behind this wall, and that 1 guy ended up causing a big problem for me. Okay, moving on to turn 3. This whole squad of 20 Death Corps of Krieg is back. The squads that were in the middle with the las cannons are hurted but moved over here. A bunch of guys have poured into the middle, a bunch of guys have poured down this side, and I actually teleported my aggressors back. I think I teleported them. Yeah, I think I must have. I think I moved over and teleported the aggressors back, and the reason being I didn't want the las cannons to have line of sight of the aggressors, but I want the aggressors to have line of sight against some of these guys, and because there was some in the buildings and there was some coming in here, I figured like basically anywhere the aggressors could be, they would get good line of sight, they'd be able to kill some stuff. And he'd also moved some units down, excuse me, towards my backfield. He was trying to take the backfield. So meanwhile, I'm just still doing my cleanses, I'm still doing my teleport homers. I actually believe I did my teleport homers in the backfield here with the Inceptors in the previous turn. In this turn, I've got my little squad of Voidsmen up here doing teleport homers. As the game moved on into turn 4, this is where I feel like I'm getting stretched out pretty thin. I have got my chaplain in to combat with those squads back there and basically prevented a bunch of the las cannons firing. He actually brought in his Tempest Scions back here along my backfield. You can see my one Eradicator there who was left for screening as well. And I moved my Repulsor back and killed a bunch of stuff. In hindsight, this was a really difficult thing to have to do. I wonder if I could have maybe had the Impulsor move out. Maybe had like something else cleanse on this objective. And then use the heavy intercessors to mop up the scions, because what it ended up meaning was that the repulsor ended up being back here. Now that there's not many las cannons left on the board, the repulsor would have been very useful further forward, but it was now basically trapped in the backfield. So this was probably a misplay on me. I don't know if it would have changed my points all that much. Might have taken a few points away from him. I don't think it would have made or won the game. But definitely could have maybe gone the opposite way here, where like, even if all the repulsor had done had move out and scanned the objective and not shot, and the heavy intercessors had come back and killed the scions, there's only 5 Tempest scions. I feel like 5 heavy intercessors can handle that. They might not even have needed to charge them, but it would have meant that on the future turn, my repulsor might have been able to like knock him off an objective here, based on the fact that there's the chaplain left with 2 wounds in there, and and he had enough las cannons and chaff here to kill that chaplain. It was actually super close. I think I CP rolled for that chaplain. It was like a final plasma gun or something. It kills him, and if he doesn't kill that chaplain, then he either has to charge the chaplain or probably maybe he could kill him on the charge. But I think since this game, my list has evolved to 2 squads of Death Company, and I think the 1 5-man squad of Death Company with a chaplain is really, really strong, and I think having 2 might put me in a slightly better position than it was in this list. Okay. So it's turn 4, so I think at this point, these guys had been brought back. I think one of the squads here had been potentially brought back. I'm trying to think where else, or if there's maybe this is my turn 4, and his turn 4 he's bringing back another squad. I was going to say, it looks like I killed this entire squad again, I think. Did I kill them? Yeah, because these guys aren't on the base trays, and these guys are. So I must have killed an entire squad. I think he brought a squad on at the edge of the board, and I must have moved my Vindicator up here and charged. But look at all this nonsense in my backfield. This was a problem, and maybe he brought in a squad down here as well. This was why my repulsor was stuck in the backfield. Bringing back a 20-man squad of Death Corps of Krieg, considering how difficult they are to kill for 1 CP, is really, really obnoxious. Especially when they're like 40 OC as well. Like, I was pleased actually to score 80 points in this game. Someone said Death Company with chainswords and hand flamers would have been brilliant against this, because they could have charged and they could have even overwatched. But I mean, who's running Death Company with hand flamers? Not me. And even in my new list, I'm still running Infernal Pistols, Power Fists. I think this is a skew list that you will not see very often. But this was super difficult to fight against. I actually feel like I didn't lose that much, right? Like, I still have both Vindicator tanks, I still have my Ballistus Dreadnought, I still have my Repulsor, I still have numerous Eradicators, I still have Aggressors. Yeah, there's a whole squad of Eradicators here. I think they were teleport or homering at this point. There's a whole squad of Heavy Intercessors. So his list hasn't actually killed hardly anything. I've been gunning him down, but the rate... 270 Guardsmen, all OC2, and then bringing 80 more back, 350 guys... He can just flood all the objectives, and he's got squads everywhere to do his tactical objectives. He doesn't need to worry about anything. It was like, I think this was really powerful. We ended up playing so long that my opponent Jonathan here actually went and ran and got sausage rolls and Freddos for us, because we were well into lunch. And there's, it was just... He has so many shots, but they're all friggin' las guns. There's a few plasmas, there's a few meltas here and there, but I guess he wasn't doing much. And then I have to kill a million units, and he's got to take millions of saving throws. So as we get into turn 5, thanks for the lunch, by the way, Jonathan. It was a tough game. I have my Vindicator tanks in combat, but they're not killing enough Guardsmen. I have units in the middle cleansing and teleporting homering, so they're not shooting. I still have my full health repulsor tank. Like I said, I definitely played too defensive on this. The heavy intercessors have held this, and at the end of the game I actually do manage to wipe out this whole 20-man squad again, because there's enough aggressors here that they just moved over and wiped out all this. I believe I managed to kill everything on my home field objective and hold it. Hopefully I've got a picture of that. And I managed to do some more actions in the middle. But I think he might have 20 mans, because I'm trying to think. I went first, yeah, so he might have his turn here. So there might even be another 20-man squad to come back. Because I'm pretty sure I did clear him off this objective. Unless this is the second... Yeah, do you know what? I think this is actually the very end of the game. He moved onto this objective for a second time. The first time I killed everything he had on it. The second time must have been right at the end of the game, where he just decided to casually put like 16 OC on my home field objective. So I think that's probably why these guys are all over here, just so that I've got some sort of semblance of decent OC on this objective. Not that it's going to make a whole lot of difference. He raised this one. We're playing the one where you can destroy the objectives and get 10 victory points. That 10 victory points he got from raising that objective, well, I only lost by 13 points. So I feel like even though I was very, very difficult to control objectives, he was flooding guys onto it like they're going out of fashion. I'm having to kill, you know, like in one turn I think I had to kill like 40 guys to try and hold this objective. They all have a 5-up, feel no pain. They all get like double cover, stacking cover. Oh, it was horrific. This was the hardest game and the longest game that I played at this event. But I suppose it definitely showed the weakness of the list that I'm running. Like, Eradicators, well, they don't do anything against this many Guardsmen, right? Ballistic Dreadnoughts, their frag missiles were underwhelming when I used them. I felt like they didn't do much against this sort of list. So I made some tweaks. I still don't know if I could beat this if I played it again, because I feel like I killed really, really well. If we agree that he brought back 80 guys, I mean, how many guys has he got left on the table? I 100% killed that whole squad there, because they were gone. Unless it's the end of the game and he flooded that. It's hard to remember with how many guys were coming back. So if we assume that that's like 15 guys, 20 guys, 35, 55, 75, and then what, like another 15 or something there, so 110. So if he had 350 guys, then yes, I killed 240 guardsmen and lost the game. And he killed a squad of intercessors, a few aggressors, a few eradicators, and a vindicator tank. You know, like, I must have killed like 1,800 points of stuff, and he killed maybe 1,000. But he can just score so damn well. And there's he killed my voids, my inceptors, and my Voidsman arms. Was there anything else in my Death Company? Yeah. So you maybe Inceptors, Death Company for 200 points, Inceptors for 95, so that would be 300. Half the Eradicators for 400, half the Aggressors for about 600, the Intercessor, the Inceptors for another 110. Yeah, so you maybe killed like 1,100, but I killed like 1,800, but 93 to 80, and I was out of ideas. I felt like I scored well. I scored 7 points for Cleanse and Oath. Cleanse and Deploy Teleport Warmers in turn 1. I scored 8 in turn 2, scored 6 in turn 3, 7 in turn 4, and 7 in turn 5. So I scored really consistently on my secondaries. Primary was messed up by that one turn where he flooded my home field objective with 20 guardsmen. There's nothing I could do about that. Literally nothing. They just flooded me. And it was like, okay, that's definitely not my objective. So I lost that, which cost me 5 points. And then him raising the objective at the end of the game gave him this bonus 10. So if somehow I could have stopped him flooding my objective and stopped him raising, but this list couldn't do that. Maybe if those 200 points of Eradicators were in something else, like Centurion Devastators, maybe it would have been possible. But as it stands, the list wasn't able to do that. But I felt okay about this game. I felt like I didn't expect to score 80. And I probably didn't expect to kill 240 guardsmen. So the game was crazy. I've never killed so many damn models. Yes, that's true. Every single time he brought the squad back, it only cost him 1 CP. A Calidus Assassin with Vect would have been worth their weight in gold here. Yes, they really would have been. Actually, I think the best type of counter I said would be the Chainsword and the Hand Flamers. Not that anyone's running that. Locking units into combat was the best way to prevent him shooting, and that was how I managed to keep his killing low, and I was going to say, and keep his scoring low. Nah, keep up scoring wise. I kept up. Like I said, I was only a few points away. The death curve of Krieg are super difficult to shift with the 3-up save and 5-up feel no pain on 20-man squad. It's crazy. Why have they got a better feel no pain than the Death Company is beyond me. The aggressors were amazing. The 4 extra shots from Blast, they kept me in the game. The aggressors were literally killing 40 odd guys per turn, most turns, until I lost like 3 of them, and then they were still killing 20 or 30 guys. Should have been more aggressive with the Repulsor, but shifting 80 men to disable the las cannons, that's super daunting, man. I don't know how you do that. I was scared. And obviously when you're playing a list like this that you've never even seen anything like before, there's a certain apprehension around it. Like I said, though, even if I played it again, I would not feel confident. That was friggin' tough to deal with. Hey, if you learned something, think about liking, thinking about subscribing. I'm John. I'm the Blood Angels Commander. I'm going to tell you every week how to get better at playing Blood Angels, and hopefully tell you about the mistakes that I make so you don't have them. Thank you so much for your support, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope to see you in the next one. By the blood are we made strong. Peace.